segment attracts a lot of attention globally as well as in India. So today's discussion will throw more light on fashion, lifestyle, and luxury in the new normal. So I'm going to begin this session with the introduction to today's esteemed speakers. We have Mr. Suket Dheer, a wanderer by soul. Suket Dheer has and continued to travel places to give fiber his own very definition. His style is contemporary with an Indian soul in it. Inspired by his family, his own childhood and youth, his work has an innate playful quality. With a longing to reinvent Indian artisanal techniques, Suket Dheer launched his sustainable menswear label in 2011. The women's wear collection, He for She, was launched in 2019. He's also won the coveted International Woolmark Prize for Menswear in 2016. And he's still the only winner for this award from Asia. Suket has been featured on the cover of The Economist, the New York Times, and various other platforms. American Vogue alludes to him as a global fashion superstar in the making. He recently dressed Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee for his Nobel ceremony. Welcome, Suket, and thank you for being here. Our next speaker is Mr. Subramaniam. He's a Vice President Design Mufti. He's a fashion retail professional with nearly 15 years of industry experience. It is nearing 20 years of industry experience. Having had the opportunity to move naturally across functions, markets, and brands, he has a very well-developed, well-rounded view of the apparel business over the course of his career. He has a very sharp understanding of Indian branded apparel market from high street to luxury segments, has worked across consumer touchpoints, be it retail, product, or communication. His role at the collective has provided invaluable exposure to international brands. He has worked with the likes of Armani, Michael Kors, Vivienne Westwood, Alexander McQueen, to name a few. He has also worked with India's most iconic homegrown brands, Louis Philippe and Allen Solly, and has also been instrumental in turning around of the Allen Solly's menswear business in the capacity of head of design. Welcome, Subbu. Thank you for being at this talk show. And for today's session, the host is Professor Raghuram. He is the head of Industry and Alumni Affairs at NIFT. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Now that the introduction part is done, actually, I also should mention that both our speakers today are, I should say this very proudly, are senior alumni of NIFT. So now that the introductions are completed, I would request Professor Raghu to take this forward.
Thank you. Thanks, Ranjini, and welcome, Suket and Subbu. I think I actually, you both of you made us think about tweaking the format that we've been doing in the past 4 months, and the way you spoke, the way you guys have been mingling, I thought, this should be the right format which our viewers should see. So thanks for taking out all your time. I know it's busy, and especially when the industry is recuperating. And trust me, viewers, we just had a mock to test yesterday because we all wanted to meet each other. And both Subbu and Suket, they just dragged me back to a couple of decades to NIFT, what it was, what it is, and how they were. And I'm sure we would love to start it from there, so reminiscing the life at NIFT. So let's make it more interesting, because it's NIFT that has made all of us, and it is NIFT that has ensured that we all meet online and then connect with our wide frame of viewers. So Suket and Subbu, life at, both your life at NIFT.
Subbu, go. Oh, I already did that to you.
So you're going, no?
You're going. I'm waiting for you.
नहीं ये पहले आप नहीं होगा. You're
Hello,
my
eh?
senior. You should go.
Okay. So, I'm Subbu. Nobody calls me Subramaniam unless you work for a credit card company or on the phone. Um, I've been around now in the industry for the last 20 years. I went to Gandhinagar in 1998, batch of 2001. Uh, I think it's been a great journey since NIFT as well. I started my career out working for Raghavendra Rathore. Uh, Went to Impulse, which is a buying house, and I think that was excellent. It was an excellent training ground because over the course of about 3.5, 4 years over there, uh, I was exposed to a lot of international brands and also had the opportunity to design a large number of clothes in a very, very short span of time. So it really sort of, I hit a fast sort of a learning curve, and that experience stood me in very, very good stead when I joined Madura, which is now ABFRL. I joined Madura as head of design for SF Jeans, then moved to LP to launch LP as assistant head of design there, and then was head of design at Alan Solly for about 3 years. I was in Madura for about 10 years. Towards the end of my stint at Madura, I worked as a buyer in the collective. So I made a sort of parallel shift, which was great exposure because I got to see uh, a lot of international brands, uh, you know, at their trade shows, which meant that I was seeing far more than what was seen on a WGSN or uh, on the catwalks or in magazines, and I got to see almost every piece of clothing that they made for the season. Um, Again, stood me in very good stead. I took a 4-year break after Madura from 20. Oh, was it 4? Maybe it was a little less. Maybe it was a 3-year break after Madura. 2019, I joined Mufti. It's um, it's been great up until now at Mufti. We have it's we've done a considerable amount of a turnaround since 2018. It's a 20-year-old brand. Uh, Started small in 1998. Used to retail at places like Kimaya. Very soon realized that the way forward was going to be getting into retail and reaching out to a larger audience. Uh, I joined this journey around 2019, and have been part of the team that has sort of recreated and the brand identity, the retail identity, and a new merchandise architecture. And we just, even during this pandemic, we've actually expanded our design team. There's a lot of work happening right now. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. That's me.
So, Subbu, the most important thing that you missed is the NIFT style of working and how you worked all the 6 days in spite of the roster.
Yeah, well, I think NIFT sets you up for that, right? Submissions you have. So all our lives at NIFT. I mean, I was lucky to get out in 3 years. Some of you now have to spend. All of you now have to spend 4 years. Get a degree out of it, but guess what? 3 years is good. 6 days a week is what I work. We reopened our offices on the 8th of June. I was part of the first 10% that was allowed to go back to work, then the 15, the 20, the 30, all of that. And now as part of 30%, I mean, the design team's there because design is a very, very tactile job. Uh, I can't tell if the quality of cambric is good from this mill or that because of the name of the mill. I have to feel the fabric. We've all had to be extremely careful. We've got plenty of those pumps with the sanitizers in them. I think we've all got fresh skin on our palms because I don't think we washed our hands so many times our birth as we have in the last 8-9 months.
Absolutely.
But it's been challenging, and I think we've managed to deliver on challenge. I think NIFT sets you up very well for that, to work hard through difficult circumstances. Um, we NIFT is in India, which means that we have power cuts, we have everything that goes with the rest of India. So
Mm.
we know how to work through the night. We know how to
Mm.
get stuff together. We know how to get things delivered on time. And even through this very challenging times when we had factories that were closed nearly close to 2 to 3 months, we managed to pull off our spring summer 21 trade show pretty much within 15 days of uh, the actual dates. So it was August 1st week instead of July 15th. And we are currently in the middle of our autumn winter 21 trade show. I'm told that a lot of companies have suspended trade shows and new season all the way up to spring summer 22. Uh, but I think, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. I have a very, very bright and talented team that works with me, that allows me to not work. It allows me to do what I do best, which is lazing around and thinking and asking them, can you do this? Can you do a little more of that? So I think, and NIFT has provided over the years enough talent that has allowed me to, be lazy.
But one thing is for sure, wherever there is a Niftian, there is always commitment with fun.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing I've seen in my couple of tickets at NIFT. So that's really great to know. And then our next panelist and expert for today, Suket Dheer, Babaji. Yes, go ahead.
It was so nice to hear Subbu, tell his journey. I think I'd like to sort of, it kind of sort of a difficult thing to follow after you sort of listen to what all he's done in his professional journey.
I don't think so.
Subbu, I'm going to kind of stick to the breaks I had. I can actually sort of, you said you had a 3-year break. I can sort of count about 8 years on my fingers right now, which I've actually used as breaks in my life. And I think I can beat anyone when it comes to breaks. So I finished my school in 98 and I joined NIFT in 2002. That was a 4-year break. That was my first break that I took in my life. That was not because of choice, but it was absolutely choiceless, because I obviously did not know that I wanted to get into design, but I certainly did not know what I wanted to do. So I worked at a call center. I did a year of BCom. I did a year of BCA. It's kind of sort of okay to be lost a little while till the time kind of you're certain about what you want to do. And then NIFT found me, and I found some ground at NIFT. So basically, I think it kind of sort of, my foundations were set at NIFT. And I kind of sort of remember those days very fondly. It was after those 4 years of तू नालायक है, पोचे मारने पड़ेंगे लोगों के घरों में,
सबको सुनना पड़ेगा, सबको सुनना
नहीं
पड़ेगा.
आते. After all of that, when I cleared my NIFT and I got through FT in Delhi, I thought there might be something more to me than just being a loser. And I think I found my confidence at NIFT. I found out which were the things I was really, really good at, which were the things I was really bad at, even when concerning fashion. And because I was still a little idealistic, I was a little less idealistic than my peers, because my batchmates were straight out of school. I had seen some real life before I got into NIFT, but there was still some idealism left. So I was focusing also on things I was not so good at. It was only, I think, my first job at Arvind Brands. I worked for a brand called Hero by Wrangler that was specifically being launched for the mass retailers that were going to launch in India, which never happened. I mean, we're still waiting for Walmart to begin operations here. But yeah, I spent those 3 years designing and planning for that brand, almost quite a few categories there. And we did a successful launch at all the other chains and malls that were available at that time. But then I think it was about the end of 3 years, I quit. And then I took my second big 3 year break from 2008 to 2011. So literally doing nothing. And but my breaks have been very, very productive. Last time, the 4 year break was, I kind of got to know what I did not want to do for the rest of my life. Um, the second break, the second 3 year break that I took, I got to know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life was being married to the person I'm married to. So I found my co-founder of the brand, my wife Svetlana, she and I, we both found the brand Dheer together. I found her in 2000. I met her in 2008, and we got married in 2009 end. But I spent those 3 years in just kind of sort of ensuring that I can't do better than her. So I might as well sort of devote all my time to her, ensuring that she completely becomes dependent on my affections or whichever other dalni thi, to ensure that. So yeah, but going back to NIFT, I think NIFT is where I made few of the closest bonds of friendship. My mentors from NIFT, Professor Asha Bakshi, she used to teach us that. She's still my mentor today. I mean, every time I do a single sketch or a single illustration today, a print I make, she's the first one I will call up and WhatsApp her that "Aapne dekha," and she's like, "Haan, dekha." So and that's what has been kind of. I still feel like a child around her because kind of she sees through my insecurities. She sees through. She's known my design journey, so she knows if I can do better or if I've done excellent. So if she says interesting, I know that I have to redo. And if she says it's really good, that means I know it is it is good. Yeah, that's that. 2014, just 3 years into my brand launch, the wool mark happened, and yeah, I was in the beginning quite circumspect that I just make plain shirts, and am I kind of sort of a bona fide designer to be applying for wool mark because it has a crazy uh, legacy. So again, just like as usual, I told Asha ma'am कि कोई Woolmark से email आई हुई है. Should I क्या करना है? She's like, what do you mean क्या करना है? You have to you have to win it. So that's how that journey began. And I told her that ma'am, देखो academic part, when it comes to making concepts and writing those down and all of that, I'm really bad at that. मैं तो कपड़े बना लेता हूँ. That's what I'll do here. But can you help me with writing the concept and all of that? She said, Aja. So I went over to a place and we sat together. She asked me for my notes. I gave her all the notes that I'd been sort of working on, showed her all of that. And she said, Chalo, let's call Professor Archana Shastri. We called her up and she said, Main bhi aa rahi hoon. She came over. We sat over at her place and they helped me with writing the whole, basically summarizing my 6-page thing into 6 sentences. And I sent in my application, got shortlisted, then won the regionals, and then won the finals. Yeah, all of those things kept happening. So basically, yeah. So NIFT has been a part of my life even till date. I don't know. I wish the administration takes a look at the night labs and extra work pressure. They should get the parents used to having students stay back late and do more work because the students that are coming nowadays are not used to well, I teach them how to because my team again they are working the way we used to. They stay nights at office sometimes and puri raat hum kaam karte hain, just the way we used to do it for night labs. But I think that kind of thing is something that I am teaching them, and I'm telling them about those old stories, and we have to inspire them to actually be. See, the thing is, when you come and do a job, a lot of attitude of people is that kisi aur ka kaam hai. I'm just doing a job. And some of us who've kind of sort of done well, I think the only difference in attitude was that uh, if we've signed up for the job and the paperwork has been done and I'm employed, that becomes my work. And when it becomes my work, and then it doesn't matter day or night, it doesn't matter 6 to 9, it doesn't matter. See, at the end of the day, I might be getting paid for only 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, the experience that I take home is 100% mine. So, and that experience is much bigger than the money, because that comes handy later. So, and that's what I did for when I was working there. I used to sort of sometimes not come to work all day, but then I used to work through the night till 6 in the morning at Arvind. Luckily, I was probably one of the only designers who'd read the designer's contract, which said flexible timing. So I was the only one practicing those flexible timings. But I used to sort of be up at work till 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, but work through the night. During the day, I used to be chilling, maybe sometimes going out to play pool, whatever. I mean, I was doing whatever. But I kind of sort of enjoyed my peace and quiet and working then. And that's something that I encourage here as well. I think even the interns that come to work with me, and I only take graduation project interns, because I think that's another one of the suggestions I'd given to the previous DG at NIFT, that our internship program needs to be at least 4 months, because 2 months is barely required to do introductions, and by the time students start getting some work done, it's already time for them to go back to college. So I as a principal only take graduation projects, 4-month internships, at least 4 to 6 months, and then we handhold the kids as if they are in the real world, and they will get to design a collection, and not just design a collection, but do sourcing, do all the running around, do clerical work, but at the end of the day, have a very meaty work experience. And they need to know how an entrepreneur works. Even if they don't want to be an entrepreneur, they need to understand what it takes to run a business. And because if they can empathize, then they can put in their all, and they can be a part of some amazing journeys. Some of these businesses are going to become billion-dollar businesses in next 10-15 years, and it'll be nice for these kids to have been a part of that journey. And that's what we can do, and that's what I've been doing as far as these last few months are concerned. So Subbu, I've only talking about most of my free time and a little bit little bit about NIFT. Now let me tell you about this last 1 year. It's been, I think, one of the most beautiful years of my life. I mean, business wise it was bad, it was horrible, but when it comes personally, I mean, the amount of time I spent with family, the kind of things that we did during COVID, in the beginning with volunteering for food distribution. We distributed about 2.5 million meals in those 25 days. So that's something that happened. It was my business partner and I, we set up a workshop to do that. And then after that was done, then there was practically nothing to do except use those COVID travel passes to actually just ensure that I go to my friend's place, chill out there, do a little bit of volunteering more, and then go to some other friend's place and basically just abuse the passes that I had while doing some volunteering as well. And then I think is when the spark started happening, and I think I've designed my best collection of my life so far during this time, which we've just recently launched. And yeah, y'all will be able to see that on Instagram very, very soon. We're kind of sort of in the process of doing an Insta launch of that. It's already been launched at the stores, but I mean, if we were a very well-oiled machinery, then I think the Insta campaign should have happened before the collection launching. But Subbu, you know how things happen in design houses, and I'm a part of design house. You work with Raghu, so you know how things happen there. So that's what I'm in the process of. I'm in the process of doing that now, and hopefully you all will like it. We've done something amazing, inspired from sports and Olympics, and miniature paintings, and Olympus, the city of gods from the like Greek gods, and Indian temple sculptures, and jewelry and all of that. I mean, it's kind of sort of sublime. I'm quite happy with what we've done. Yeah.
It's really great. I mean, I think it's awe-inspiring.
Thank you.
I mean, both of you. And the most important thing is, see, very quiet people, well accomplished, but yet very quiet.
I don't think anybody who knows me well enough will ever say that about me. Anybody who knows me well enough won't say that about me.
So let me tell all this before I get to know well about you. So,
like, interesting.
No. See, it's very simple.
I'm the least quiet person on the planet.
That's even more interesting. You know what?
I warned you. You better have some questions for me. If you let me be, I'll talk for an hour and it'll not make sense.
That's okay. Then we say, we are used to all these soap operas, so we will end this webinar at 5:30 by saying continued next week. We'll do that. So the point is, look at both of them, Ranjini. You should look at it. These gentlemen, they've had a break. I'm envying them. I have never had a single break, except that I have 3 breaks in my back. Okay, no breaks for me. All right, and then look at the kind of attachment, the sense of satisfaction in whatever they did. That's what I'm seriously that saying it's awe-inspiring, and especially Suket, since Subbu said people who don't know better about him never say anything much better than that. So I'm going to just get on to Suket and then say, since today we are talking about luxury, look at the luxury he's got. Design, talking of somebody who's a Nobel laureate, right? So how did you feel, and probably what is your feeling? How did he feel when he got a Suket Dheer touch?
Okay, it's very, very funny actually. I get a random phone. I was at an event. It was a sort of a busy day. It was very loud. I get a phone call from a friend very randomly. He said, "Hey, I want to sort of, what are you doing tomorrow at 4?" I said, "I'm at work." He said, "Are you free? Can I come over and meet you?" I said, "Sure, of course." And I was kind of sort of thinking that maybe calling him at about 5 o'clock so that he can come, he can chill with me, and then we can also extend the evening. We can go for dinner later. So, and then as soon as I suggested 5, he said, no, the thing is, I'm actually getting Abhijit with me. I said, who Abhijit? He said, Abhijit Banerjee, who's the Nobel laureate. I said, sure, come at 4, no problem. It doesn't really matter, even if it is 15 minutes, you should come. And Abhijit came over. I talked to him about my design. I talked to him about what he likes. We kind of sort of got to know each other a little bit. Because Abhijit was coming, I ensured that my kids were there at the studio as well, because I mean, how often do you get to meet a Nobel laureate? And I just thought like, it'll be really nice if my kids are also there. So the whole studio was there. He met everybody, and then we had some good chat for about 40 minutes. And then we started discussing fashion and clothes and all of that. And he was pretty well informed. He kind of sort of knew what he wanted to look like. He's very simple, otherwise very unassuming. He will not sort of care what he wears that way. But if he likes something, he has an eye. I mean, he will. There are a couple of things that he will just pick on them and like, So I think a couple of days before he came to me, he had an interview with another friend of mine who was wearing a shirt. He's a journalist, and he had pointed to him that, I love your shirt. When he came to my studio, he saw that shirt and, hey, I saw that shirt a couple of days back. That's the kind of person he is. He's observant. So he saw that shirt and he was like, yes, I saw that the other day, and I was telling him that is good. So the bomber jacket that I was wearing, he said, I want that jacket. I said, fine, but that's not the jacket you want to wear for the receiving the Nobel Prize. So what is it that you want to wear? He said, well, there are 2 options. One is to wear a national dress, and the other option is to wear a tailcoat. I said, so what are you leaning towards? And he said, I'm actually leaning more towards a national dress. And I asked him, so what do you have in mind when it comes to national dress? He said, a bangala would be good. And I was like, that's a good idea. I mean, I would have recommended the same myself. So we decided on a bangala and a trouser. I told him that since this is a beautiful occasion, and let us do a silk velvet bangala, so that it's luxurious, but it's kind of sort of understated, but also stage friendly. It'll be nice. And I also sort of recommended, normal classic wool trouser with a velvet strip on the side. It was like a classic tuxedo, but a
Tuxedo,
bandana
yes.
tuxedo kind of a concept. Um, and then what happened was 2 months passed. I was supposed to ship the stuff to him. I had a last moment brainwave. I was like, listen, I think we need to do something more. It can't just be this. So I had a friend of mine send me a Kerala mundu, the white one with the gold border, the
Correct,
whole
yeah.
full dhoti and the angavastram attached. I did not sort of chop it off. And I had my Masterji make a beautiful white pinta kurta also. I packed these two things along with this trouser and jacket and shipped it.
Okay.
And I wrote him a message that, after he received the parcel, that, hey, once you receive the parcel, please give me a call. Sorry for being so unassuming. I just kind of sort of thought that since you're a Bengali, you would know how to tie a dhoti. So sorry for being presumptive, but it'll be nice if you can actually wear a dhoti. So when he opened his parcel, he was like, what is this? So he called me up. He's like, I kind of sort of, this is not what I ordered. I said, yeah, I know. But like I said, since you're a Bengali, I thought you would know how to tie a dhoti. Sorry for being presumptive, but tell me that you know how to tie a dhoti. He started laughing. He said, you are presumptive, but I know how to tie a dhoti and I would love to wear it. So yeah, then he dressed up. We had a FaceTime conversation. He dressed up. He looked majestic. And I asked him how he feels. He said, like, I feel amazing. And I think this was an amazing intervention. And I trust you completely. And plus, I'm 100% comfortable in this because he's used to wearing dhotis. So, and once he received the award, that was the only talk of the world media. I mean, everybody picked up on what he was wearing everywhere in the world because I think the Nobel announcement had happened about 3 months back. So in August, whereas thing was happening end of October, uh, I think sometime around that time. And so everybody kind of already knew that he'd won the Nobel for economics. But so this day became the celebration of the dress I had designed for it. So it was fantastic. I mean, I felt really, really good. And there might be another good news. I mean, he informed me during COVID that that Ensemble is being shortlisted to be in as a permanent display at the Nobel Museum. So that happens as well. So I just hope I just hope that happens soon, and I hope I am able to sort of take my parents to the Nobel Museum and show it to them that it's there. I just hope I'm able to do that soon.
We'll all wait for that day. I mean, actually, I picked on this question because I had an intent. The luxury. That's why I said luxury. Look at the Kerala Mundu, a dhoti becoming a world-class luxury that it is reaching the Nobel laureates museum, right? So this country, I mean, we are all in a landscape which is actually luxurious, unimaginably.
Yes.
Better than what we think of. So before we get into that, I just wanted to trigger Subbu also with something, which is very, very identical. Mufti, the Subbu way, right? Because Subbu has come in, wherever a Niftian steps in, definitely there's going to be a sea of change. So,
Well,
yeah.
Actually, the part of that I come from, one of the major challenges that we face is how to drive an artistic or a creative uh, direction while building structure around it. How do you make it repetitive? How do you make this? Uh, because without being repetitive, you can't be accessible to the consumer. You know, a person may say that I don't think the quality at Zara is very good. But whether it's good or bad is a question of what that retailer chooses to do and what their standards for quality are. What you do keep going back to any brand or a retailer for uh, is the consistency with which they deliver that quality. Now, that quality is the final production quality of the piece. It is about the quality of design being consistently good. You can't have a great season and then not have a great season the next season. You know what I mean? You can't have these ups and downs. You have to consistently deliver the same thing. Um So it's about building a structure that can enable delivering this creative output consistently. And as far as the brand's own ability to deliver creative output goes, they were already there. They were doing everything. I mean, they've been around for 20 years and they've not struggled to exist without a Niftian. So it's completely presumptuous of me to say that I've made too much of a difference. I think uh, the difference I was able to contribute to this absolutely wonderful team of people that I work with possibly was to be able to provide a little bit of structure within which design operates. Sort of merchandise architecture is one of the first things that we worked on developing. Uh, we, as a menswear casual brand, there was always going to be something that's a little bit relaxed and beachy in the store. There's always going to be something that's appropriate for an evening. There's always going to be something that's a little more vintage inspired and possibly therefore military, cowboy western, typical machismo driven, testosterone driven casual clothing. So there's all of that stuff, and but it's all lying in different parts of the store, and so the only thing that we really worked hard on over the last 1.5, 2 years is to sort of put them into the buckets that they already belong in and start doing that by design rather than by default. Because if I ask anybody to design 250 shirts or 300 shirts or 600 shirts and say do it in 3 different ways, at some point you're going to run out of ideas doing it one way. So you are, if I said, even if I said don't do it 3 different ways, you're probably going to design a different, bunch of shirts, few different bunches of shirts rather. So that was already happening by default, but turning that into a by design process, that is probably the only thing. And I think a lot of that comes from, and I mean, having worked with extremely good organizations like ABFRL, it comes from having studied at NIFT. I think at NIFT Gandhinagar, we were very, very lucky. This was, the beginning years. So 98, I think the first batch graduated. So I was literally the sixth batch out of there. We had Arvind Mills nearby, which meant that we had some access to some really senior people in the industry coming in to talk to us, or us being able to visit a mill. We had a lot of senior faculty intervention from NID, from all of these other places. At NIFT itself, we had a lot of visiting faculty coming in from Delhi and other centers. I think there were fewer centers back then and fewer batches, which meant that faculty members were probably not stretched as thin as they are today. They're catering to a smaller bunch of students. So we got a lot of special attention and care. I think it set us up for success in that sense. And I think I just practically been lucky to be in the right place at the right time, getting the right experiences. So I think all of that culminated in what I'll hopefully see as success when the market starts to wake back up. In fact, during the lockdown, I remember we had a couple of sampling units at a few factories down south that were still working. So I was sending them drawings on WhatsApp with measurements of patterns and on a mask, for a mask. And over those 2 months, I designed a mask. I designed a masked hoodie with my team. So sort of like a hooded T-shirt with a mask.
And a mask, yeah.
I was forgetting my mask at home every time. This was, let's say, practically started as something I wanted for myself. We managed to put that in stores as well. I mean, it's had a little bit of a lukewarm response, but the rest of the line has been rather successful. I think we've had a very, very good Diwali, and the line has done very, very well. And I think we have some very, very good designers with us. We have this young man by the name of Abhimanyu Ghosh, who leads the shirts team, Sajid, who denim team, and we have Altamash, who leads the t-shirt and knitwear and winterwear team. All these three guys are from different centers. Somebody from Calcutta, somebody from Bangalore. I'm from Gandhinagar. I also think that this entire thing about NIFT is really cool. You know, the fact that we are all in this one place now, and we're in a new city, we're in Mumbai a lot. Some of us, it's a new city. Some of these guys are local to Mumbai. But it's just been incredible fun meeting people who come from different centers, and that we've been able to click. Uh, each of these guys has contributed extremely in extremely difficult circumstances. There have been days when they've been caught in traffic jams that have been caused by police checking, because when unlock happened, in the first few weeks of unlock, there were people just heading out because they were tired of being trapped at home, and these guys were trying to get to work. There was police checking, and Bombay can be unforgiving. It's one of the most unforgiving cities in this country, if not in the world. And these guys have made it to 3-hour traffic routes to work to deliver 2 seasons that a lot of other brands said we have enough stock lying around from the 2 months that we were shut. All businesses were shut for about 2-3 months. All stores were shut. We have enough stock. A lot of people have had that approach, I think. And Mufti, we've had as Sukit very nicely pointed out, entrepreneurial sort of an approach. I think NIFT definitely inculcates a sense of entrepreneurial sort of,
Spirit.
brings that out. It brings out that strength. You have to be resourceful. I hate to use the word jugadu around it, because that sounds like we are insulting it, whereas it is actually resourcefulness. It's a virtue. It's something celebrated, and I think all of our students and all of our graduates have it, and they find it. I mean, we had a student who was doing his graduation project with us, and he was stuck here for the 2 months of the lockdown. He was in the middle of his GP. He was stuck here, and when the lockdown lifted, he said, "Hey, what the hell? I'm not going home. You guys are reopening office. I might as well come there and work and do my GP." And that's great. That attitude is great. We now have a young girl from, I think, NIFT Patna, who started out as an intern, did a 6-week internship, and now now we've extended it into a GP for her.
GP.
She's working with the shirts team. She's doing a great job. So we're very happy to work with students from NIFT. In fact, when I was speaking to Ranjini also, I think the amount that NIFT can help industry grow faster. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs in this country who get into any business, they may not necessarily be academically trained for that business. But let's take the apparel business, which is ours. For instance, there are lots of little things that studying at NIFT would help you with. It's just slightly more equipped. Having studied pattern making and garment construction, I just know when I see a garment and when I see a shirt and I see a problem with the way it's stitched, I'm like, what's the needle that you used on this? What's the needle number? Did you use a ballpoint needle? Did you do this? Now, those questions just come naturally having gone to NIFT. And 20 years down the line, I mean, also thank God I've not forgotten, but it helps. It helps. It helps to keep looking at clothes. It helps to keep thinking about how did they make this? What was going on in that guy's head when he was designing that check, that stripe, that print? What was he thinking? Why has he used that? That's an unusual combination of colors there. How did he arrive at that? Why didn't I think of that? Why did I not think of that? So what is it that blocks me from thinking of? I think these are things that we sort of do. Curiosity is something that's inculcated in students, and at least in fashion design. I know for sure that everybody I've met is extremely curious. I've had students come in, and my only request is that they know Illustrator, right? And whatever level they know it at, in the 6 months, 4 months that they've spent with us, I think the quality of graphics that they're producing here, I'm very impressed. And I also genuinely think that they're better off with technology than my generation was. I mean, I remember when I was in NIFT and the first computers were rolling into the institute. And we had Photoshop, I think 2. I had version 2.
Yeah. And then probably Poser was the first thing which you guys used for.
Yeah, we had Poser, we had Bryce 3D, we had some of these.
Yes.
And once you hit the render button, you could go out for lunch and come back and still, but now these kids have Macs and they're super fast. Technology is improved. They're a lot more in touch with technology. They're extremely good with this stuff. So I think all of this definitely contributes to the successes that businesses are tasting now. Um,
Very true. So I think, I mean, what Ranjini, it's 5:15, is it?
Yes, sir. So I had a question now. Right now, we had this talk about how technology is helping. And one of our students, Sakshi Mishra, has actually asked a question on that. She's asking how luxury brands are coping with, providing the same shopping experience now that most of it is going online. So how do you provide the same luxury shopping experience, the luxury brands? What would be the tools for that?
I mean, you can't. We are being creative. We are trying to sort of do videos, video content, and in fact, you can check my Instagram account right now. I've actually posted. I've done a post right now. I've done a story, Insta story of a scarf that we've done during this lockdown. It was the illustrations that my interns have done, that we've made. Like Subbu said, I mean, the first thing I see in a student when I pick them up for internship or for my work is I need to sort of the illustrator skills are kind of sort of given. That's something that I need them to know. I check their sketching skills, how good they are with human anatomy. So for me, it's very, very important for them to kind of sort of know what human body is, because I think if they know what human body is, then they can draping comes easy to them. They can sort of imagine things on paper before sort of trying it with fabrics beforehand. It's kind of sort of very important. It's very important to communicate. And that's the kind of prints that we do. I have been reimagining miniature paintings. And so what we've actually been doing is for last 3 or 4 seasons, we've been working with Kangra style miniature paintings. And I was working on miniatures. So instead of the Maharajas doing shikar, they were playing golf. So we had Maharajas on segways. They have Maharajas and sitting with their friends on golf carts. We had Maharanis on the segways, or the Sakhis taking selfies under the tree. So that's the whole kind of a scene. There are other Maharajas who are on a trip to London or somewhere in the garden. So around the fountains, they're stargazing. Some of them are looking through telescopes or doorbin. Some of them are doing, photography through videos. There's some feedback coming. I mean, is it happening with all of you, or it's just?
Yeah. I'm getting
the buzz.
Yes, the buzz. Now it's stopped. No, it's coming again.
Oh, but nothing for me.
Can we all mute? Can we all try muting? I think. I hope it's good. Can everybody give a thumbs up? I think. Yeah. And can you all hear me now? Okay. So what was actually happening? What's very important for me is that if you want to sort of do prints, your elements of design and your foundation better be good. See, Subbu, you're absolutely right. We used to have a 3-year course, and yet sketching skills of our times were much, much, much better than the sketching skills now. We've added a whole year. So it's instead of a 3-year plan, it's a 4-year plan. 1 whole year is for working on foundation, elements of design, all of that. And yet the sketching skills kind of sort of a little lackluster. Yeah. I've been very, very lucky to have found like those 6 or 7 interns. I mean, I have a whole team of interns from NIFT right now. They're from, again, like Subbu, you said, from different centers. Somebody's from Kangra, somebody's from Delhi, somebody's from Bombay. So similarly, I have these people, one of them is very, very good with block printing. Oh, she's kind of sort of working on block prints. The other girl, she's a textile person. She's working on surface development. She gets the most amazing burfis from her dad's shop because he he makes the most beautiful burfis. Diksha is her name, and we have a communication intern, Tejal. She's doing these, she's translating my illustration, my prints into these moving videos. So I'll be posting one of those also. You probably check your Instagram right now. You can see one of the scarves I've just uploaded. It's at Suket Dheer on Instagram. These guys have been sort of doing these kind of videos, these kind of things for communication. I have Ria. She's sort of she translates and converts prints from one medium to another. So, I mean, these are very, very talented people who are sort of working with me right now. I have I still yet to discover. There's a new girl who's joined me. I don't know how her work is, but she seems good, very, very dedicated, committed, Nimrita. And my assistant, Arushi, who's been sort of coordinating with Ragini and the team to kind of sort of make this happen today. And since Subbu named all his team people, I thought it would be really nice to encourage these people. I think they might be sort of listening to me on this right now.
Listen, mine are not, but okay.
No, I mean, if they are, this is a good way to encourage them. I kind of sort of took a cue from you. It's a good thing to do. These guys are great. They don't get any chuttis. They're supposed to work Sundays. They're supposed to work nights. They're supposed to work early mornings. They're supposed to work in the middle of the night. They're supposed to work during the day.
Outgrown now.
I'll tell you.
If you're not out of here by 7, there's something wrong. Something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but something's wrong.
No, that's something at the normal course of time. But here, there's nothing wrong. You have to finish your work at 5. And then the second project that you were not supposed to do, you need to start doing that one as well. So instead of doing one collection, you're supposed to make 3 collections is what I am doing with them. Like, the work pressure, Subbu, we had that pressure at college.
Absolutely.
Now the pressure is about assignments and all of that. That kind of sort of adrenaline rush we used to get with night labs. We used to go nuts sort of thing. Nahi, ma'am, 1 ghanta or, just extend the timeline. We need to redo pe redo milte the har cheez.
Night lab, as opposed to the lab is available at night and I'm not going. Those are two different. Because you got to say, no, there's no night lab. Then students will queue up and they'll say, but we want it. We need it. We shall work without this.
No, there were 15 people who were working on the machines during the night lab, but there were 15 others who were sleeping under their tables during the night lab. I mean, it was a...
conditioning in the institute, as opposed to...
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, we had a chai wala. He used to be up at 4 in the morning. We used to have the Maggie at Subhash's at Delhi. I mean, it was just fantastic. I mean, those NIFT experience, those days were beautiful.
Luxury.
Raghu,
these are luxurious, luxury.
That's exactly, I'm getting back to luxury. Now, the thing is, why it is important.
No, that's what I'm saying. You get a chai wala, up at 4 o'clock and giving you chai, NIFT opening up labs for your night for 15 of you to sleep and 15 to work. All this is luxury in life.
Of course it is. Because I feel like working at 4 in the morning, it is luxury to have that facility available.
Absolutely.
Of course. And we were kind of sort of trained like that. Whatever half the time I'm kind of sort of messaging at 4 in the morning to my guys like, hey, I had this idea. What do you think about it? I'm shocked sometimes that I get a reply in a second. I'm like, listen, main to jaag raha tha, ye bhi jaag rahi hai unki. So iska reply aa gaya. So I kind of like, okay, kind of makes me feel good that, people are just as wired and passionate about design as I am. Because that's how you are able to do some amazing things.
Absolutely. अब मेरा luxury देखो, आप दोनों से मतलब पिछले, I mean, it's about 45 minutes that we've been chatting. Look, I've got enlightened. Look at the light behind my head.
On our chats, there is somebody.
Can you see the light?
We should call it halo then.
Yeah.
We should. You should remove the curtain and then it'll be a halo. It'll not just be a light bulb idea moment.
Nice. Yeah. Sukhya, you were saying you were about to say something to me.
So what I was actually saying was that yes, of course, NIFT is a big part of what we do. But the luxury thing that what I learned about luxury there, you see, for me, NIFT was I did not know, apart from Calvin Klein, I did not know about a single international brand when I went to NIFT. I did not know. I was just that badly informed. I was that badly informed is probably because I'm also not an avid reader. The only thing I like probably doing, which kind of gives me access to the rest of the world, is movies and series, TV series that I watch. So I kind of sort of, that works. This is a proper Halo now.
Oh, yeah.
So, I watch a lot of series. I'm very well versed with my geographies. I'm very well versed with quite a few global cultures. I know the cultural nuances. I can be in the US and I can get the local jokes. I can laugh at the local jokes because I get the lingo. It's very, jokes are something that you can't laugh at if you don't know the context of where they're coming from. So every culture has their own jokes. So because of me sort of binge watching all kinds of movies and television and series and all of that, and watching all of those, um, um, I don't know, the podcasts, and so visual content is what I take in, and that was my window to the rest of the world before I could travel. And I gave myself that experience before I could travel. And I think traveling is something that kind of gives you the taste of luxury. A lot of people imagine that luxury which is something expensive. No, true luxury is something which is priceless. And one of those things which is priceless is time. And getting to do things when you want to do at your women fancy can be a beautiful, luxurious thing. It need not have the highest price tag to it, but it is luxurious. At the same time, there are a lot of things that we weave. But to weave a certain fabric, sometimes, like for example, when I was doing my Woolmark collection, it took me almost a month and a half to convince the weaver to do what I wanted him to do. It took me 4 trips to Telangana. I had to take flights 4 times. Every time they used to say that it's too difficult, it is impossible, you can head back. I think it was about the 4th trip when they finally said, no, it can't be done. It's the Telugu word, they say riska. It's very difficult, it is impossible. So that is what I said, sir, bahut risk hai, can't do it. And luckily, I think Svetlana was with me at that time. Svetlana is my wife. She's half Telugu and half Russian. So she speaks Telugu as well. So she was translating. And I like, okay, fine. I made a bit of a face and I said, just mere muh se us time pe nikal gaya. I just kind of sort of blurted out that, oh, I will kind of sort of might lose to a Pakistani contestant, because what was actually happening was the regionals. I was going to compete with a designer from Pakistan and a person from Turkey and a person from UAE.
Okay.
But at that time, I just kind of sort of thought that, he might, my peer from another country was going to win, and that country happened to be Pakistan. And that's when he kind of sort of took special interest. Like, what did he say? I said, well, we might lose to Pakistan. He said, are you serious? I said, well, nothing can happen. He said, well, aap karna kya chahte ho? Batao, what do you want me to do? I said, well, we need to do ikat, but with wool. He said, वो तो ही बोल रहे थे कि नहीं हो सकता है. नहीं sir, try करते हैं ना.
Try करते
हैं. होगा ना. So I think that kind of sort of motivated them to do it, and we did that. But I think that was luxurious. The whole process of communicating, making bonds, making friendships, going back to them over and over again, and clicking with them at another emotional tangent and level of kind of sort of finding another way to convince them. So basically it was a solution-oriented approach. But that was, I think, Saraswati was sitting on my tongue when that little thing happened. And that was absolutely the thing that he wanted to hear at that time to ensure that my fabric was made. And not just that weaver, there were 2 weavers who were ready to do the same fabric. So I had a backup. So I was actually making the same fabric at 2 different places. And both of them were able to make it. And in time. And and that is probably one. I mean, it was a beautiful fabric. When I stitched it, the collection looked beautiful. That too you can actually see on my Instagram. You'll have to scroll down a little bit, but you'll know. Or you could just sort of Google Woolmark Suke Dheer and you'll get to see the collection. Uh, it was they were able to make it, but the most beautiful part of this is that we were never able to replicate it after that attempt.
Mm.
So that collection was like one of a kind attempt. So true luxury, it becomes a collectible. It can never be repeated again. We can never get the
Special
same
edition.
colors again. We can never get the similar stock of wool again, because wool dyes differently every time, and especially when you're doing a hand tie and dye. So I think that was my first taste to kind of luxury I wanted to be a part of. Although when we launched our label in 2011, my first buyer was Good Earth. I mean, Mrs. Anita Lal of Good Earth. She's the founder of Good Earth. She's the one who, I think she's my patron saint. She's the one who kind of sort of discovered me. She's the first person to see my collection and be like, yes, I want it. And I was the anomaly at her store. I was the only menswear designer for next 8 years, the only menswear collection at Good Earth. And I think that kind of sort of gave me a launching platform. So that was my gateway into a luxurious zone. Because I think when you go into Good Earth, you kind of sort of know what luxury can be or what it should be and what Indian luxury can be and it should be. And I think as Indians, it's also kind of sort of about time to kind of redefine luxury for the world, because I think as Indians, we practice something, we practice responsible living, I'd say. Even with little food, my dadi used to say, thoda thoda lo, don't throw it, don't let it go to waste. Even with garments, we wear it, we pass it on to someone else. Either our siblings are wearing it or somebody less fortunate is wearing it. And it keeps getting passed on till the time it's in tatters, and even that gets used as a jhardan. And we are 1.4 billion people practicing that kind of responsible life. I mean, I don't even think that the world realizes what kind of a culture we are, and what kind of a slow life, which is actually the new mantra for luxurious living all over the world. We kind of sort of practice that traditionally. It's just that we do that without being aware of it. I just think we need to kind of sort of remind ourselves and make ourselves aware of what we are doing right. And this is something we are already doing right. We just need to sort of ensure that the world does what we do. हम थोड़ा खाते हैं जितना जरूरत होती है. We don't have the biggest sandwiches on the planet. And once we have our fill, we don't throw the rest of the sandwich. Although I don't believe anything goes to waste, because again, we come from a culture where even if you throw the sandwich, cheaties will have it. And our culture doesn't sort of differentiate between a life of a cheatie and a life of a human. And that's also a very Western thing, where life of a human is more important than, यहाँ पे दूध आप शिवलिंग पे चढ़ाते हो, people say it goes to waste. But that's a very Western thinking. But that milk goes into the river, the fish or whatever the kitanus, the bacteria, whoever eats that's the life that sustains that. I mean, that milk is sustaining that life as well. And my grandmother told us that, all life is equal. So, patta mat todo, paap lagta hai, cheaty mat maro, it's very bad. So those are the kind of some small little things that kind of sort of connecting for me while I am doing my fashion. And I think it's the luxurious thought process, which kind of respects all life, all lifestyles, which respects all thought processes, and which kind of sort of asks for a similar respect back. So you respect the nature, and then nature kind of treats you well. You abuse the nature, and then kind of nature equalizes that as well. I just think on those lines. I think, and that is something that we need to we can, in terms of a brand, be standing next to the biggest luxury brands in the world, in Paris or in Japan, and with this kind of approach to life, if we come up with products that are truly luxurious, I think there'll be no beating us there. I mean, I think Indians can deliver on luxury that way.
Well, nice. I mean, this is really. I mean, one of the participants also has written in the chat box that you have entirely changed the perspective of. I think this buzzing is coming from somewhere. Ranjini, can you just mute once? Yeah. No, the buzzing
Yeah,
is
it's
stopped.
for
Ranjini,
her.
I think.
It's from her.
Yeah, Ranjini, I think the buzzing is coming from your side. Just check before you open up. Yeah. So
Check your
I mean,
headphones and check your headphones.
Headphones with the jack.
Jack of the headphone.
Yeah. So I think the perception. It's all about perception. So I'm just going to say it's 5:35. So we've told our users that it's between 4:30 to 5:30. But it's so interesting, And Suket, I cannot do anything other than just agreeing with what you said, because I go by the same principles. And probably if you look at our culture, the country, that's what I said. We are in a country, we are in a geography which is luxurious than what we can imagine or what we can perceive. That's why if you see, there is a common saying that whatever happens in the other parts of the world, it has the Indian touch. It has the Indian. Probably if you take a motif, it can be a motif, a design, or a silhouette, whatsoever it is. There is something Indian, some Indianness in that, and somewhere it is very, very evident as a culture. And that's why if you see in the past few years, there has been a talk of making the Indian handlooms and handicrafts into the luxury segment of the global market. So that's where everybody is touch basing upon. So
can I just sort of add on that point? See, the thing is, in Indian handlooms and handicrafts, also traditionally, what has actually happened in the world has not happened in India right now. See, the thing is, with time, things change. So like, for example, gamcha weaving used to happen. It's a plain weave. It's a single repeat done with a plain weave. Now, humanity has invented power looms and mills for plain weaves. There is no point of weaving the same things or plain weaves that can easily be woven by power looms. And there's no competition between a power loom and a handloom. See, there are certain weaves that can only be done by handloom. And I think that's where most of the efforts of the weaving community should go towards. Weaving, it's all scientific, logical. Logically, I think all the weavers, even people who are doing plain weaves and competing with power looms and mills, they should actually focus their efforts on things of the extra weft techniques and all of those, which mills can't manage, which mills can't do. Even if they try everything on the planet, they will not be able to achieve those effects, because that can only be done by handloom. I think what needs to happen is that weavers need to focus their efforts on, or at least the policy needs to encourage weavers to focus their efforts on the techniques that need to be revived and saved, and that can only be done on handloom. But there are other techniques, because even mills and power looms are man's inventions, and they've been done for a certain purpose. We are 8 billion people, and it's very important. Like the trouser that I wear is mill-made fabric, but the jacket that I was wearing yesterday, it was a handloom jacket. So it's you kind of sort of, it's not one versus the other, it's one with the other. And that's the balance that is required in the world, because it's important to achieve that balance. And instead of pitting one against the other, how to sort of, because there is space for both. So it's very important for people to put their heads together and focus energies on things that cannot be done by machines, and promote those, propagate those, make brands out of those. There used to be gharana systems when it comes to music. We don't have a Jamdani Gharana that way. We don't have a patronage for Jamdani. We don't have like people who are kind of sort of pushing for excellence in, say, Chanderi weaves. We have designers who pick up and make an amazing Chanderi collection, but we don't have an ecosystem that makes Chanderi into a brand with that extra weft technique. Even Kadwa in Banaras, there's a Kadwa technique. That's also an extra weft technique. That's something that can only be done by handloom. It can't be done by power loom. We need to make that into a brand. And those brands are going to be true challenges to luxury all over the world, because these are things that you can't compete with. These are heritage of the humanity. This is literally 1,000-year-old techniques that are still being practiced. We have as a country, we have a monopoly over them. We have enough skill to ensure that can be presented to the world. We just need a little more innovative approach to those. We need to make these into brands. I think since you said handicraft and handloom, I thought it was very important for me to sort of focus on. This is something that I've been working on for the last 8 odd years.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fantastic. Yeah, Subbu. I mean, like you worked with what Ranjini read a few brands that everybody would dream of working, and most of which I mean touches that luxury. So where do we move now? See, it's a different kind of thing that we've been saying, and suddenly, as Suket said, nature will strike its own balance, and I think that is what is happening now. So with all
One
this
whole year of
coming together-
balancing.
so where are we headed to? Where are we headed to in terms of the luxury segment? And probably both of you should also tell the young grads of NIFT that how prepared they should be and in what way they should be prepared to meet
One of
this.
the things that I've noticed about the consumption of luxury in our country is that it has there's almost two sort of sets of people consuming luxury in that sense. There is, of course, the Western concept of luxury brands, and when that seems to be consumed in India, you see what is a lot of times people call it loud or flashy. I don't know if anybody watched Tandav recently, but the guy who plays Dimple Kapadia's son, I have no idea what the actor's name is. But he's permanently in Versace, he's in Louis Vuitton X Supreme, and he's in all of these kind of clothes, right? But you can tell, I can't tell this because I've been working in fashion for 20 years. I can tell because the branding's on the face of the bloody clothing, right? So it's very, it's sort of established that I've spent money on this. There is that sort of a sense of luxury consumption in this country. And then there is what I believe somebody like Anita Lal is trying to drive with a good earth, where it's almost understated. It's about having, there is a sense of what I want, when I want, how I want about it. And also it doesn't scream at you, and there's that part of luxury, which also in the West is reflected by possibly like, suit, excellent menswear tailoring. If you were to go to Savile Row and get a suit made, you can tell that it's a great looking suit, but you'd actually have to tell someone that you bought it at Gives and Hawks or Huntsman. You would not naturally know. It doesn't say that anywhere on the outside, right? There is that sense of luxury. I think we are largely in a place where culturally, I think one of the things that I've noticed as a designer is that people use color to express a sense of arrival. That I've from a socioeconomic point of view, I've climbed the ladder. It's an announcement of sorts. So I think one of the things that consumers are always looking for in India, especially, is optic value. Now, whether it's a consumer who shops at my store, where I sell a shirt at a modal price point of $18.99, or whether it is somebody who shops at the Emporium Mall in Delhi, where possibly the modal price points are in the region of 75,000 rupees. I think the value that the consumer is looking for is optic in nature. We're currently driven by optic value. How do we deliver this at any level of this business? Because ultimately, if you make 1 crore a year, a luxury is at a certain value. Everything comes at a certain value in any case. That's how the market works. So without getting into the philosophy of it, the pure math of it is that for a guy who makes 40,000 bucks a month, a 2,000 rupee shirt is a luxury. And for somebody who makes 4 crores, maybe it's a 50,000 rupee shirt. That's a luxury. Ultimately, it's the optic value that people are trying to look at. I mean, you can do all of that Maslow's pyramid of full self-fulfillment and needs. But ultimately, I think I've broken it down. For me, it works as optical value. Optic value. What optic value does this garment deliver? I'm going to stick to the subject I know. I know how to make clothes, right? If the shirt looks good, it's great. And I say shirts because you look at all of us right now, all you see is still here.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to my design team, I'm permanently telling them, भाई कॉलर पे कुछ कर दो, यहाँ पे कुछ कर दो, यहाँ पे रखो, यहाँ पे passport size photo के अंदर रखो. That's my thing. I want the optic value delivered here because that's what my consumer is paying for. And And I think the only thing that goes towards it, and also I'm going to try and answer a part of that question that one of the students or participants has asked. Uh, what is your advice to first and second years? I think the extra year that you've been given is great. Um, if you came to me 10 years ago, I'd say, do you read? 5 years ago, I'd be asking you, what are the latest TV series you've seen? And right now, I'd be like, what all have you consumed? How all have you consumed information? And it's not just consuming information and storing it away, it's also analyzing it, putting it into buckets in your head. I mean, and if you don't have the headspace for it, start making notes, do whatever, but file away all the information that you can get your hands on, because that's the best way to understand cultures. Traveling, like what Suket was saying. And today we're restricted, we can't travel. But I remember I didn't have a passport till I was 25. I didn't. I was working in an export business, and I hadn't traveled to the UK once, and I'd already been a year in the company, and they were like, "You need to get a passport made, son, and you need to travel." And I was like, "Why do I need to travel? I've read every book about these places. I've seen every movie about these places. I know what they do. I understand them culturally. I can make clothes for them. I don't need to go there." And my first trip to London was possibly 14 waking hours. And I was on Oxford Street shopping, and I said, it looks like Connaught Place with a lot of white people. That's what it looked like to me, and because I was not at all overawed by that. It took multiple trips to Europe before visiting museums, before, spending time around art and culture in those places, which I could not through a book or a film here, that I had an even deeper appreciation of it. So I'm going to say that try and get as much exposure as possible and feel as much as possible, through every sensory sort of organ, and skill. There is no, I haven't probably sat on Illustrator and made a print in, what's it, 10 years now, I think. But nobody can pull a fast one on me and say, oh, but it takes that long. I'm like, you can't bullshit me, because I know how
करके कोरल 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 ड्रॉ पे बहुत ट्रेसिंग टूल चलाया है हमने
और इससे स्लो कंप्यूटर पे घिसा है. Don't tell me this cannot be done. No substitute for learning every skill you're being taught at NIFT.
There isn't.
I mean, it's okay. I can't stitch a straight line to save my life. I mean, if you held a gun to my head and said, so straight, Subbu, in a construction lab, you'll have to shoot me, because I can't. Construction drawing of a lap scene or a French versus a French scene, even now I know how to do it. And I know where it's used, what's the fabric type, why I need to do that. It's the whys of it. Every skill taught in NIFT has meaning and it's been handy at some point. And I think that's sort of very, very important. The other thing is, one other question that you'd asked a little earlier, and I'm going to stop after this one. I think.
No, I just want to sort of, I just want to sort of say something to the travel bit.
Yeah.
When I went to London for the first time, and even after that, when I went to New York, I happened to go in winter. The only thing that hit me, because like you said, culture and all of that, we were not surprised. Nothing kind of sort of could surprise us, because it was just, again, same stores that we've already seen. We've seen the products. We've been doing that. As Indians, we don't realize it, but we are all instinctively summer designers.
Yeah.
मैं ना फरवरी में न्यूयॉर्क गया था. मैंने वापस आके मेरे को ना ठंड के कपड़े बनाने आ गए.
No, but it's amazing. If you go to India and you buy a jacket, the jacket, when I say jacket, I mean like a casual winter jacket, right? The jacket pockets are always small. They're just not big enough, because factored in the fact that you're going to be wearing gloves with a jacket, possibly, if you were really ever going to be wearing a jacket. So you buy most jackets from Indian brands from about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, the pockets were always smaller. And I was like, यार ये 3 centimeter बढ़ाने के CM तो नहीं बढ़ते, and this is an outerwear thing. Proportionally, it's already got a lot more easing than my shirt on the inside. So jacket pocket look proportionally wrong to you. It's just, we just don't get this. Because, no matter how cold it gets in Delhi, you're not wearing a pair of gloves unless you're on a motorcycle. And
Absolutely.
on the motorcycle, you take off your gloves, so your hands are fitting into the pocket perfectly fine. Nobody's thought about it.
Nobody's
thought of proportion. Nobody's bothered with it. And it's these. I'm sorry, I'm sounding a lot more angry than I am actually. But
Tell me, are you really angry? यार? मुझे लगता तो नहीं है यार.
इतना ही आता है मेरे को गुस्सा. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं आता. But this is just something that I'm passionate about. So, I think garment construction and proportions, and like Suket said, understanding, human proportions, like the amount it bothers me when I see shirts in the Indian market where the sleeve length doesn't fit. And I'm a tall guy. I practically decided to study menswear and stick to menswear design because I just want a shirt that bloody fits, yeah. Where I don't roll up the sleeve because the sleeve stops here. That's the reason there's a cuff on the shirt, so that short people can button up their cuff and it doesn't fall over your, hands. But tall people can also wear the same shirt, So little things. Why do we do what we do? I think all of that we are taught at NIFT. The library, the resource centers at NIFT are fabulous. Every book in there is a treasure. I think if you could go in, even just rummage through the pages, something's gonna stick. Something's going to stick. If you're there in that place for 4 years, just spend enough time in every nook and cranny of that institution. I think you'll come out better for it. I think that's about all I can say. Skill gathering and expose yourself to as much as possible.
So there's also another question from
artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Artificial. Can I take that?
Yeah, sure.
What is MFM?
Okay. So, guys,
MFM is the AMM program, the Masters of Fashion Management.
You would have to tell me the old names also.
Yeah. So, see, I remember. Look at my memory. You should appreciate my memory. It's AMM.
Okay, so AI is the future. AI is going to be the way things are done. We need to embrace it. But as designers, we also need to be assured. And I need to assure you, and because I come from a place of conviction, I know this for a fact, that machines can get everything right when it comes to logic. But when it comes to design, there are aesthetics involved. And when there are aesthetics involved, everything is about emotion. And when it comes to emotion, I think AI is very far away from getting EQ right. I think even as a culture, I think something has already been done when it comes to curriculum review at NIFT. I know that because I was involved in the whole activity that happened in 2017. There's a lot more that needs to be done. There's a huge amount of a revolution that is also happening to education because of the new education policy from the first grade onwards, which is welcome change, which is very, very important. Because I think I give this example, and I heard this example elsewhere, but I'm going to give this example here, that existing education system was, for example, there's a classroom with of animals. There's an elephant, there's a giraffe, there's a monkey, there's a bird, there's a snake. All of these different animals. There's a turtle, the test is to climb a tree. So, the whole game is rigged in favor of the bird and the monkey. Everybody else will not score there. But every other animal is made for doing something which the other person can't. And that is where I think our current education system, which was set up by the colonialists, by the British, when they left, it was for the Industrial Revolution. They needed lots of people for the industry. So they needed lots and lots of yes men. And I think as Niftians, we need to be very, very proud of ourselves that we are the outliers. We've actually sort of broken the system, and we are doing things which we were not supposed to do.
According to the colonial system,
we were not supposed to think for ourselves. Some of us managed to. And I think we need to do a little more of that. That's something that is very, very important. And so that's why, yes, What people were supposed to do at the time of industrial revolution is going to be taken care of by artificial intelligence. And luckily, this is going to be the push for humanity that the humanity needed, is the kick that the humanity needed to start thinking and not just towing a certain line or just not believing what they're told or what they've read, but experiencing life. So we'll need to travel more, we'll need to interact more, we need to have more meaningful discussions, we'll need to judge less, we'll need to give people to have a right to their point of view while understanding where they're coming from, and we'll have a right to our own point of view. So all of those things will not need to happen, but they'll happen with the emotional intelligence. That's something that we are born with. Everything else, I think, goes to the machines, and it can. I mean, I am the lazy person. I can use some machines in my life 100% instead of being called a slave driver. I would love some machines there. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm happy to sort of continue giving employment.
I have another. I mean, this is interesting because on the AI thing, it's just a couple of days ago I was looking at this. There's somebody who fed in every AC/DC song into a bot, AI bot, and had the bot then, sort of design an AC/DC song. Now, you can look it up on YouTube. I think the song's called Great Balls, and you just have to type in Great Balls AC/DC AI bot song, right? Now, when you listen to it, it sounds like AC/DC. Everything sounds fine. But the moment you start reading the lyrics, you're like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think we're a long way away. At least I'm going to have successfully retired from industry and all work.
No, I think I can actually never say never, but I think I can safely say never, is because I think emotional quotient, I mean, if we've achieved emotional quotient in machines, I think humans can retire. I don't think humans need to be born anymore.
Yeah, sure. But once you listen to this song, I don't think you're going to feel that way. It's fun.
But this is being the universal debate. This has been the universal debate on the let's say the impact, or let's say the extent to which AI can intervene, or let's say become intelligent, or whatsoever it is. But in design, the contention is going to be really, really great because of the EQ, as Suket was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, you have to pick it up with the way things are going. And if somebody can come up with a breakthrough, and why not? If not somebody from NIFT, then who can? Who else can? So that's a kind of an attitude I carry. If any breakthrough can come, it will be from a NIFTian. Mark my words. And this is on air. This is live, and this will be recorded. It will be available on YouTube for lifetime because of the so-called technology. If any breakthrough comes in this field, there will be a NIFTian behind, because every shirt I wear, I do not know which brand or whatsoever it is. I need not be educated about the brand, but I'm sure that there is a NIFTian behind each and every piece of cloth that everybody wears. So, I mean, the testimony is Suket and Subbu sitting right in front of us. I think we all would love to carry this chat for the whole evening. And I literally, that mock for 20 minutes yesterday left me. What do you say?
There's a question from the first year NIFT. Please focus on your sketching. Subbu, can you reiterate that?
Yeah,
Sketching skills.
Pencil on paper.
Lag jao aur ho jao shuru.
No.
Fashion model drawing, FMD, please. And don't stop.
And don't even bother with croquis and stuff. Just draw.
Draw, and draw.
स्तुति कुमार ने लिख दिया, गॉट इट सर, थैंक यू सो मच. इसका मतलब सर आपने काफी कह दिए कि अभी पेंसिल और पेपर लेके भाग रहे हैं. अब हम करेंगे. We've got it. That's good. I mean, practice. I mean, this is what NIFT makes you, and everybody now will be appreciating all the redos that they get. So the point is, we have got a few more questions from YouTube and also from here, which Ranjini would be bucketing and then forwarding it to both of you, and the panelists will get the response from our guests through email or whatsoever. Ranjini will forward it by email to our viewers. Sorry, that I was saying, so I mean, when I feel that I should be talking to both of them for some more time, I'm sure that all these viewers would be looking forward to hearing from both Suket and Subbu. So we'll find another
MFM
opportunity.
people, there's a question from MFM people. You can apply to our company for internships. That's what you can do for the first thing. You can start with, I'm looking for somebody for MFM.
And my email ID is subu@mufti.in. That's a single B, not a double B. SUBU@mufti.in. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
right.
please. If you want to apply to me, just email on Subu's and he'll forward it to me.
I'm over to somebody in office tomorrow.
No, I'll give a easy way to do that. Anybody who wants to apply to both Suket and Subu, you can send it to ui.alumniaffairs@nif.ac.in or ui.industry@nif.ac.in. That's going to be the easiest way to catch one of these two. You know, I'm seriously, really thankful to both of you, because I mean, I felt so good that when both of you said that you want to come back and do something to the alma mater, though you've been doing something quite quietly, and now it's become very vocal and on air, and it was really absolute pleasure. You know, so I'm just looking at that 18 WRs. So, and Ranjini has been buzzing from for the past 20 minutes. So whenever she's unmuting, I'm hearing the ship honking. You know, oh, okay, that's all. No, that's all right. That's absolutely fine. It's a kind of a timer. We take it as a, you know, वो कोई शंख बजा रहे हैं हमारे लिए खत्म करने के लिए, है ना? एक बार शंख बजा दो before the war and शंख बजाओ to get the war done.
You can contact us at on my Instagram account. Somebody's asked us for my email IDs. I mean, you can take it from college. You can share it on the college platform, and in case you need mine, you can just go to my Instagram account, my personal one or the professional one, to message us there. I think it should be fine.
Same goes for me. You can look us up on Mufti Jeans at Instagram, and then get in touch with us there. That's probably the easiest way.
Cool. Great.
Never
so
knew.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful 1.5 hours. I'm I'm just keeping a tab on time. I'm sure, Ranjini, I think we should do this talk again. I mean, my heart feels that we should do it once again. Not as a part of this webinar, probably we should have it as a Raghu Suket Subu talk show.
We could do that. We could do that. Listen, we were discussing luxury today, but we did discuss a few things under the sun. I think you can actually, you can have us over for another topic actually, because I think the students need to know more than luxury. There are many other things that are happening around, which they need to sort of learn about.
Luxury is the last thing that this country is going to solve its problems at the moment. I think bigger fish to fry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, at least we know that there's a big fish.
Solution-oriented approach. That's something that I kind of sort of strive for. That's the kind of way I live my life. Solution-oriented approach. No making excuses. No coming up with problems. Come up with solutions. That's how you should start your discussions.
Correct. So next time what we are going to do is just a talk show. Talk show with Raghu, Subbu, and Suket. That's it. No title. We'll just come and talk. We'll find on the spot, we'll find what to talk, and we'll have many things to talk. Yeah. So nice. And thanks for being here. And it's really wonderful. So Ranjini, over to you for a very formal close. So I think you just take off your headphone. I think the jack is the problem. So remove that and you start talking. I think it'll be wonderful. We won't hear the buzz. Unmute.
Is it still there?
Yeah, slight. Yeah, we are getting the buzz somehow. Anyways, it's okay.
Actually, yeah, I got this repaired yesterday. It's a new Dell, but still somehow I'm very sorry about this.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was a great session, and thank you for that. So here goes on behalf of the Unit of Industry and Alumni Affairs, it's my great pleasure to convey our thanks to the speakers of the evening, Mr. Suket Dheer and Mr. Subramaniam, for this really insightful discussion. I also thank Professor Raghuram in steering the discussions. A thanks goes to all the members of the INA team for their support. A huge thanks to Mr. Birendra, the webmaster at NIFT, for the support in conducting this online webinar. So with that, this session comes to an end. Thank you so much and have a great evening.